Hello everyone, Mr. Peabody again, and I want to talk about Bumblebee. It's started again. Sorry, I'm doing this again because I did too many ums, so I'm going to try and cut out that. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it very much so, and it is like the bridging gap between what we all knew. Well, some of us knew when we were young, the cartoon and the movie series. Not the later movie series, the earlier movie series. The later movie series sort of like went way off. Anyway, I digress. The In the original cartoon, Bumblebee was a V-dub beetle, and in this movie, he ends up being a V-dub beetle, which you already knew. So, in order to sort of like start the whole process, where do we have to start? Well, sort of a little spoiler, but it's not going to be too much of a surprise. We start on Cybertron and the battle between the Autobots and Decepticons. And they sort of do capture the original Autobots and Decepticons. They did a reasonable job. Obviously, one's a cartoon and one's a movie, so you've got the more realism. But they did a pretty good job. Almost too much so. You could pick it apart, you could, but let's not. Let's just enjoy it for what it is. It's the Transformers movie. It's the original Transformers that turned into the Transformers. It's sort of hard to explain. So we start on Cybertron. You have the big battle. The war is raging, and then you have the retreat. And Autobots retreat. It's interesting that Bumblebee starts off as being B and a number. So he keeps the B all the way through everything. He's always a B. I don't think that's really a spoiler. I mean, as soon as you see the yellow suit, what do you think? You say Bumblebee. It could be a Camaro, and it's still Bumblebee. Anyway, so they retreat, and Bumblebee is a scout. He's told to go somewhere, and he goes there. And he lands there, and he's on his own. Obviously, during the thing, it was a big battle. They do a lot with Bumblebee's eyes. I mean, they've done it with the other movies as well. This one, they sort of like really, really push that sort of emphasis, but it still works. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have a moving mouth. He's not doing all those things. It's the same with all the Autobots. I mean, it got a bit ridiculous when they had moving eyelids and everything, but forget about that. But they do a lot with his eyes. They have to, because that's almost all they've got to work with. They've got small little head gestures and movements and everything like that. But that's all they've got to work with. So they do a lot with his eyes, and it's quite lovely. For lack of a better word, it's endearing. It's an endearing thing. But so he's on his own, and he basically goes into like, sort of like a semi-hibernation. He sort of like, he does the hideout. That's what they do. They go, they stop, and they hide until something else pops up. And you would have seen this in the trailers anyway, but I won't go into it. But eventually he meets, which way am I pointing? That way. Charlie. That's Charlie. And you would have seen this in the trailer too, but she discovers this is not a car. But they bond. They bond actually. It's quite beautiful the way they bond, really, because she really bonds with this robot, vice versa. They both need each other, and is reminiscent of the first Transformers movie, but this is so much more. This is like locked in, sort of. This is so much more of a connection. And so they go through their storyline and everything like that. So you've got pieces like, it is a Transformers movie, so it's got everything you expect. You know, the big machines and transforming and the big guns and things blowing up and stuff like that. You've also got this lovely story, this friendship story. You've also got, they did it a little bit, to me it came across as a little bit weird, but I mean there's not really much they could have done different, but it's very much like Herbie Fully Loaded, very much so. But that's to be expected when you've got a VW car that has a life of its own. There's only so much you can do with that because it's a car. Then the other thing they actually threw in, which to me was reminiscent of Turner and Hooch. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you probably would have guessed that by now anyway. So you've got this amalgamation of ideas and everything like that, and they did do a couple of cringy things in there, which was almost reminiscent of the kind of Han Solo thing, but on a couple of different occasions regarding different things. But it's a good movie. All right, it keeps you entertained right through the whole thing. You're engaged. You're following the story. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it finishes, right? And then it does give you that little teaser as to what we already know comes next. That might have been a spoiler. It probably was. Sorry, but it was a very enjoyable movie. I would give it, with using Odin's sort of terminology, I would give it a solid B. I'd probably put it a little bit higher than a B. That's because of that relationship that was in there. It wasn't anything different to any other Transformer movie. It was pretty much the same, but it's the relationship that was in there that really, well, let's just say that at a couple of times I thought I was going to have to reach for a Kleenex, because it sort of like really grabs you, because it was a special relationship. But that's, we all of us have a special relationship with Bumblebee. We all love Bumblebee. He's the protector, he's the one that, he's on the ground, he's there with you all the time, and he does everything he can to make sure who he's with is okay. And Charlie is, she's not your average girl, right? Now, we knew that had to be the case, but I won't give it away, but she's not your average girl. And so some aspects of the movie you might say, oh, she can't do that, she can't do it. Well, actually, no, she can. Well, can she do it? I'll forget it, whatever. But it was a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. So I hope I haven't taken too much of your time up. Take care.